Lagos, the nation's commercial capital. This is the news at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Anne Waodo.
Good evening and welcome. Tonight, President Tinubu signs instruments granting pardon and sentence reductions to selected inmates, exercising constitutional mercy after consultations and review. Legal practitioners warn a proposed Electoral Act amendment shifting the burden of proof from petitioners to INEC is both unworkable and dangerous for democracy. Senate confirms Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede as the Chief of Defense Staff, Major General Waidi Shaibu, Chief of Army Staff, Rear Admiral Idi Abbas, Chief of Naval Staff, and Air Vice Marshal Kennedy Aneke as the Chief of Air Staff. Death toll from deadly police raid in the Brazilian city of Rio de Janeiro rises to 132.
And on business, National Assembly approves President's request to implement new external borrowing in 2025 Appropriation Act.
On Sports News tonight, the 2025-26 Nigeria Women Football League Premiership season kicks off November 26 with Bayelsa Queens hosting Edo Queens in the opening game.
And from the nation's capital, FCT Police Commissioner Mila Dantawaye pledges stronger security across Abuja, warns criminal elements to stay away from the capital.
We begin tonight with the latest review by President Bola Tinubu, who has formally exercised his constitutional prerogative of mercy by signing the instrument for the release and sentence commutations of selected convicted persons. Well, a statement issued by the Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Ononuga, explains that the decision followed consultations with the Council of State and a broad review of public sentiment. However, individuals convicted of serious crimes including kidnapping, human trafficking, drug-related offenses, fraud, and armed dealings, were removed from the original pardon list due to national security concerns and sensitivity to the victims. The statement adds that the review was necessary to uphold public trust, boost the morale of security agencies, and ensure adherence to both domestic and international obligations. The President's pardons, clemency, sentence commutations sparked significant controversy over the inclusion of certain names. And some of the most controversial names initially mentioned and widely reported in the media for either pardon or sentence commutations include Miriam Sanda, who was convicted in 2020 for culpable homicide of her husband, Biliaminu Bello, and initially sentenced to death by hanging. Her inclusion was controversial as her sentence was reportedly commuted to 12 years on grounds like compassion. Kelvin Prosper Onyara, described as a notorious kidnap kingpin whose activities span multiple states, his inclusion for clemency sparked outrage due to the nature of his violence crime. Farouk Lawan, a former member of the House of Representatives sentenced to 5 years in 2021 for bribery and for collecting $500,000 from a businessman, his inclusion as a politically exposed person convicted of corruption drew criticism. Convicted drug offenders, a number of individuals convicted for various drug-related offenses, including trafficking, possession of cannabis, and more, were reportedly included for reduced terms or clemency. And this drew criticism as well, as it called to undermine Nigeria's anti-narcotics campaign. Some legal practitioners have described as unworkable and dangerous the proposed amendment to the Electoral Act 2022, which seeks to shift the traditional burden of proof in election petitions from the petitioner to the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. And the position was made by a senior advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Joseph Daudu, at a press conference organized by the Rule of Law Forum in Abuja. Our correspondent, Emanuela Ekele, reports.
Legal luminaries are attending this conference by the Rule of Law Forum to discuss issues that affect the judiciary and to dissect ongoing electoral reform proposals. A former president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Mr. Joseph Daudu, is the convener, and the recent amendment to the Electoral Act is the focus of discussion. Specifically, the forum is considering the unworkability of any move to transfer the traditional burden of proof from the petitioner to the respondent, which could be the Independent National Electoral Commission.
Where there is a collision between a provision in an act that is not in the Evidence Act, that is not, because the Evidence Act is specifically provided for in the first schedule as being within the powers of the National Assembly. So where that provision is not amended, the National Assembly cannot, with respect, pardon my choice of words, smuggle the issue of transfer or reversal of the proof of burden of proof to INEC without touching the Evidence Act.
The proposed amendment seeks to compel the election management body, INEC, who is mostly the respondent in an election petition, to prove that the election it conducted is valid. A burden the lawyers say is both illogical and practically impossible.
Once INEC is made to discharge the burden of proof of whether an election is marred by corrupt practices or there is non-compliance with the Electoral Act, or that the respondent did not win the election by majority of lawful votes, it means that INEC has aligned itself with the respondent, who was declared as elected to prove or validate his due election and return.
I'll be very slow to comment on this current one and to say that because of the expertise, experience, and brilliance of the man who has counseled the National Assembly on this Electoral Act, it should thread slowly with transferring burden of proof to INEC.
The consensus at the event is clear. If Nigeria must reform its elections, such reforms must be guided by clarity, justice, and legal realism, not political convenience. Emanuela Ekele, Channels Television News.
Vice President Kashim Shettima has charged the Arewa Consultative Forum, ACF, to stand in solidarity with the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Tinubu. He stated this when he received a delegation from the forum led by its chairman, Board of Trustees, Mr. Bashiru Dalhatu, at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. According to Vice President Shettima, there is no better time than now for leaders of the North to stand together in support of the Tinubu administration. Our State House correspondent, Emperor Simon, reports.
The leadership of the Arewa Consultative Forum, the apex socio-cultural group in northern Nigeria, is visiting Vice President Kashim Shettima in his office at the Presidential Villa, Abuja, ahead of the celebration of the 25th anniversary of the forum. Vice President Shettima seizes the moment to dispel claims of ethnic and religious slants against the current government by those he describes as peddlers of marginalization.
We must continue to resist all attempts to divide us or to stir mischief amongst us. Our future depends on unity, and unity must remain our creed. The President appreciates the North. The President identifies with the North.
He assures that every group, faith, and tribe has a voice on national issues under the Tinubu administration.
We have taken deliberate steps to reposition the fortunes of the North. We recognize that nostalgia is not public policy, and that the future demands innovation, not sentiment. The renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu prioritizes education, agriculture, industrialization, and security as the pillars of northern revival.
The Arewa Consultative Forum leadership commends the Tinubu administration for its bold reforms, applauding the commitment and support of the Vice President for the achievements recorded so far, as it pledges continued support to the government.
The Vice President is our number one ambassador. His image is carrying our spirit, our image, our aspiration. And we have noticed that he has brought it into this administration, and he has supported the President 100%. We are proud of them, and we shall continue to support them, but we shall also continue to point out to them areas that we think we can make improvement for the benefit of all Nigerians.
Established in 2000 as a quasi-political and socio-cultural organization to promote the political interests of people of northern Nigeria, the Arewa Consultative Forum says it also hopes to use its 25th anniversary celebration to interact with other socio-cultural organizations across the country for the future and development of Nigeria. From the Presidential Villa, Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
The Senate has confirmed the nomination of Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede as the Chief of Defense Staff and the nomination of the service chiefs, including Major General Waibu Shaibu as the Chief of Army Staff, Rear Admiral Idi Abbas as the Chief of Naval Staff, and Air Vice Marshal Kennedy Aneke as the Chief of Air Staff. The confirmation comes after several hours of screening on the floor of the Senate. Our National Assembly correspondent Gloria Umezoke reports.
The Red Chamber is filled with anticipation as lawmakers settle down for the main business of the day, the screening of the service chiefs.
So let me welcome.
The Senate, in the Committee of the Whole, relaxed its rules to admit the service chiefs as well as the Minister of Defense. Proceedings continue with the screening of the Chief of Defense Staff, who was screened in 2023 by the Senate for the office of the Chief of Army Staff. He begins by chronicling his experiences.
My experience as Chief of Army Staff was actually very challenging but rewarding. The enablers are not enough. So it makes it very difficult to get everything required to prosecute the war against terrorism, banditry, and other sundry crimes in Nigeria. And it's important for us as a country to checkmate the kind of misinformation that's out there. Because if this is not checkmated and on time, I think our challenges will be far from over.
Satisfied with his responses, he's asked to take a bow.
Is it the view of the Senate that if you're allowed to take a bow and watch as others speak to us? Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
The Chief of Army Staff, who was born in 1971, then takes the podium, responding to questions about the deployment of new strategies.
The Lakurawa challenge and the banditry in the Northwest. Luckily, I have been in that theater of operations to conduct assessment visits within that frame. And I assure you that with our improved training and special forces insertions, we are going to deal with that challenge and bring that issue to very close.
And then the Chief of Naval Staff, Rear Admiral Idi Abbas. Insecurity on the nation's waterways is a moot point.
Most of where these illegalities are happening are hard to reach areas. The use of this same drone technology and other technologies will help us block this more.
Beginning with a series of parables, the Chief of Air Staff reiterates a recurring point echoed by his colleagues, the critical need to deploy modern technology to advance operations.
Some of these weapons we fire are one missile. Some of the cheapest are as cheap as $100,000. And you fire these things every day. So it is not a business for the chicken-minded.
The Nigerian military has taken delivery of a total of 32 brand new aircrafts at the cost of $1.2 billion. Vice Marshal, where are our Tucanos?
The Super Tucanos are doing what they've been paid to do. We are giving you value, sir, for your money because the equipment in those Super Tucanos are extremely expensive. They are located mostly in the northeast and mostly in the northwest.
Given the sensitivity of the issues, the upper chamber then resolved to continue the questioning in a closed-door session. Minutes after, the President of the Senate announced the confirmation of the service chiefs.
Thereafter, the Committee of the Whole approved the nominations of Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluide as Chief of Defense Staff, Major General W. Shuaibu as Chief of Army Staff, Rear Admiral I. Abbas as Chief of Naval Staff, Air Vice Marshal S.K. Aneke as Chief of Air Staff. Can we thank them and bid them farewell from the hallowed chambers?
The Senate President has also said that the service chiefs has urged the National Assembly to expedite efforts towards granting full autonomy to local governments to reduce pressure on security institutions. In addition, they called for the strengthening of the Nigeria Police Force through better funding and infrastructure. From the National Assembly, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
In part two, after the break, the race towards the Anambra governorship election intensifies. Abga's Chukwuma Soludo 6 votes as Ekusigo Newi South, and ADC's John Chumanwosu addresses party supporters in Orumba South local government area of Anambra State. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. President Tinubu signs instruments granting pardon and sentence reductions to selected inmates, exercising constitutional mercy after consultations and review. Legal practitioners warn a proposed Electoral Act amendment shifting the burden of proof from petitioners to INEC is both unworkable and dangerous for democracy. Senate confirms Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede as the Chief of Defense Staff, Major General Waidi Shaibu as Chief of Army Staff, Rear Admiral Idi Abbas, Chief of Naval Staff, and Air Vice Marshal Kennedy Aneke as Chief of Air Staff. And death toll in deadly police raid in the Brazilian city of Rio de Janeiro rises to 132. The service chiefs also appeared before an ad hoc committee of the House of Representatives for screening, and that's after appearing at the Red Chamber. The process began with an open session headed by the Chairman House Committee on Defense and concluded behind closed doors. The committee is expected to present its report to the General House during plenary on Thursday, where the matter of confirmation will be put to vote. And staying in the House, there was mild drama at the National Assembly today. Officials of the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, staged a walkout on the House of Representatives Committee on Basic Education. The registrar, Professor Ishak Oloyede, had sent a director, Mr. Mufutau Bello, to represent him. Mr. Bello insisted that journalists vacate the room, claiming the documents he was to present contained sensitive information, but then the committee refused. A National Assembly correspondent, Terry Ikumi, reports.
The House of Representatives Committee on Basic Education convenes a meeting with representatives of the Joint Admissions and Matriculations Board, JAMB, to look into the examination body's 2023-2024 budget, its internally generated revenue implementation, evidence of remittances to the Consolidated Revenue Fund, and bank statements from 2023 till date.
This agency, JAMB...
The atmosphere already appears tense from the beginning, as the committee reveals that the JAMB registrar has ignored 3 previous invitations and has only now sent a representative. The representative of the JAMB registrar requests for a private meeting, but the committee refuses.
The committee has sensitive information and that we don't require the presence of pressmen. Kindly give us the benefit of doubt that they should excuse us, please.
Mr. Chairman, observation. JAMB, you don't have that right. If you have such, you just whisper to the chairman, or you whisper to the clerk to tell the chairman. You don't dictate for us when you are here. It's like you're dictating for us.
The refusal of the committee sparks a surprising reaction as the JAMB team stages a walkout.
One thing the committee will not take from any agency is when the agency refuses to submit documents that were requested by this committee in line with Section 88 and 89 of the 1999 Constitution as amended.
Outside the hall, members of the committee paint a clear picture of what just happened and express disappointment.
It is not the right of JAMB representative to demand that the chairman should be seen behind camera, or even any member of the basic committee to be seen behind camera. Hence, we opted that whatever we are to discuss, we should discuss it openly for the Nigerian public.
We have heard of instances where is it snake or something swallowed money, and I think it is the same agency. So probably a bigger swallow may have happened, and they have not prepared themselves for the autopsy.
It's unheard of where an agency will come in. For us to oversight an agency, then the agency will tell us that, sorry, we would like to see you in private. We would like to see the chairman in private. It's very, very wrong. There are more to these things than what we are seeing.
The committee has resolved to give an ultimatum of Tuesday next week for the JAMB registrar to appear in person with his management team and present all requested documents, or the committee would be compelled to issue a warrant. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
Let's turn our attention to politics. The 4 major communities in Ekwusigo local government area of Anambra State and 10 communities in Nnewi South local government area of the state trooped out in their numbers at Ozubulu and Orafite to support the re-election bid of Professor Soludo come November 8th. The people are happy with the governor for the security situation in the area, and they have vowed to deliver APGA to ensure continuity.
Mr. Governor is here.
The excitement is high as the people of Ekwusigo local government area troop out to receive the campaign train of Governor Soludo at the local government headquarters in Ozubulu. Testimonies of good governance, especially in areas of security and road connectivity, pour in even as a member of the House of Representatives for Nnewi North, Nnewi South and Ekwusigo Federal Constituency declares for APGA.
Each time they debate, they go back and recollect themselves with what he has done. Now, as Governor of Anambra said, my fears, can anybody fit his shoes he's going to leave behind?
I am the leader of YPP. My supporters are here. In my constituency, I've told them to collapse to His Excellency Soludo. The only 2 people now contest this election, Muamabu, APGA, number 1, His Excellency Soludo, number 2.
They also make several financial donations to support the governor's campaigns and then move a motion for the governor's victory in all the 12 electoral wards.
I hereby move a motion that Ekwusigo local government as a whole includes the 4 communities of Zobolo, Orifite, Ichi, and Ihembosi. Come November 8th, that we are going to support Soludo. If all of you want to support Soludo, say aye.
Governor Soludo is in high spirits as he thanks the people for endorsing him and his party, APGA.
I've seen school teacher contributing. I've seen the Okada people, the market women, putting in 130 naira, and so on and so forth. Everywhere I go, you feel touched by the love of the people. I know more for my thank you.
At the community primary school field, Amici, the crowd is massive and they dance excitedly, declaring the full support for Governor Soludo's re-election and for his uncommon leadership that has restored law and order in the council area.
I want to thank our Governor Soludo for a free delivery without asking for any kobo and free antenatal. So I'm saying may God bless him in Jesus' name.
I stand here on behalf of the beneficiaries of the One Youth Skill program to appreciate you and thank you for what you are doing in Anambra State, especially to Sibasata Youth Development.
Accepting the financial support for his re-election campaign, the governor again reiterates that his campaign is a movement and a divine project.
You have taken over the organization. You've taken over the funding. This rally, I did not spend one kobo. This is a divine project.
According to the people here, the re-election rallies in Ozubulu and Amici is a test of what will happen on November 8th.
And still ahead on the news at 10, National Assembly approves President's request to implement new external borrowing in 2025 Appropriation Act. And that's in business news. Please stay with us.
Partnership that makes sense. Are you a manufacturer, distributor, or reseller? It's time to go big with Konga.com. Gain massive visibility, reach every corner of Nigeria at lower cost, and be more profitable. We've got you covered with secure warehouses, nationwide logistics, and Konga Pay, the trusted payment platform that guarantees timely payments. Let's partner to grow your business and build a stronger economy. Email onboarding@konga.com today. Konga, the e-commerce group you trust. Partnership that makes sense. Are you a manufacturer, distributor, or reseller? It's time to go big with Konga.com. Gain massive visibility, reach every corner of Nigeria at lower cost, and be more profitable. We've got you covered with secure warehouses, nationwide logistics, and Konga Pay, the trusted payment platform that guarantees timely payments. Let's partner to grow your business and build a stronger economy. Email onboarding@konga.com today. Konga, the e-commerce group you trust.
And the National Productivity Order of Merit Award goes to the only tomato paste manufacturer to win the National Productivity Order of Merit Award by the Federal Government of Nigeria, endorsed by the Association of Private Medical Practitioners of Nigeria. This is an evidence of 100% natural goodness. Eat healthy to live longer. Buy now and enjoy up to 20% discount.
Jumia Black Friday is here because Jumia's biggest deals are about to drop on everything from phones and electronics to clothes, beauty products, and so much more. Download the Jumia app now. Jumia, joy delivered.
Success. Life is full of stress, but with InDrive, you can set a price for your ride. Choose a top-rated driver and fill your life with gladness and serenity during the ride. InDrive, choose a fair price for your ride. Because life is more than daily stress.
Welcome back. You're still watching the news at 10 on Channels Television. Still in Anambra State, the governorship candidate of the African Democratic Congress in the November 8th governorship election, Mr. John Chuma Nwosu, is asking party supporters to unite and work hard to boost the party's support base and ensure success at the polls. Mr. Nwosu addressed party supporters in Orumba South local government area of the state, pointing that the next election could only be won with a strong support base.
The campaign train of the African Democratic Congress arrives Orumba South local government area to a rousing welcome by thousands of supporters. Addressing the supporters, the party's governorship candidate, Mr. John Chuma Nwosu, emphasizes the importance of teamwork and numbers to the party's success at the polls.
What we are asking from all of us is to work as a team. And ADC has been there for the past 18 years for the purposes of being a strong opposition. They have to change the constitution to represent the current ideals of the way, because all the other political parties have failed in their ideology.
A party chieftain and member of the governorship campaign council, Mr. Ben Chuma Nwosu, calls for vigilance and cooperation with law enforcement agencies to ensure a free, fair and peaceful election.
Send people, cooperate with police to make sure that this is truly a secret ballot. Orumba South, local government ADC, ask, you shall receive. Knock, and the doors shall be opened unto you.
The women are also ready for the election.
Orumba South like John Nwosu a lot because of John Nwosu is somebody you can trust in everything. John Nwosu is somebody that if you support him, he will never forget Orumba South. And we Orumba South stand by him.
The Anambra governorship elections is 10 days away, and political parties are intensifying grassroots sensitization and voter enlightenment as the polls draw near.
The News at 10 continues now in our Abuja studios, where Terry Ikumi is standing by. Over to you, Terry.
Well, thank you very much, Anne. The police commissioner in charge of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Mila Dantawaye, is assuring residents of the nation's capital of improved security as he warns criminals to steer clear of the territory. Fielding questions from journalists during an operational visit to Buhari Area Council, Mr. Dantawaye also advised residents to install car trackers in their vehicles to assist the police in recoveries when they are stolen.
Securing the nation's capital is the reason for this operational visit to Buhari Area Council by the newly appointed Commissioner of Police in charge of the Federal Capital Territory. The team makes its first stop at the palaces of the traditional rulers of Buhari Area Council. Security remains a collective responsibility as the need for citizen support is stressed. Satisfied with the deployment of personnel within the area council, residents are assured of improved security.
By the grace of God, we're here. We will secure them to the best of our ability. Fortunately for us, I have little experience. I prefer to use the word little. I used to be Assistant Commissioner of Police Operations in FCT. And that aside, I stayed in Abuja for a while. So I think I have a clear understanding of the city. We will give them a level of assurance today, but once we sit down and start to interface with the people we should interface with, they will get much more assurance from us that their confidence should be built, that FCT security will be improved.
Residents are also advised to assist the police in securing their vehicles.
Please let me seize the opportunity to make an appeal. It's a difficult one, and it might not be easy. But I want to appeal that anybody that has a vehicle should try and track it. It makes it easy. We're going to reduce the activity of one chance in this town. we're going to reduce drastically the activities of car snatchers and those that remove cars when they are parked at locations. By the grace of Almighty God, we will reduce the activities to the barest minimum. But I also know that there are steps that you can take that will assist you. If there's tracking device on any vehicle and it is taken, it's easier for us to track. In fact, at the point you can shut down the vehicle.
With assurances of sustained support by the Inspector General of Police, the 34th FCT Commissioner of Police is optimistic that the nation's capital will remain safe for all.
Now, malaria poses a serious health and economic threat to millions of families in Nigeria. And to reduce its impact, LG Electronics is partnering with AXA Mansard on the Life's Good Care campaign. LG management team, while briefing the media in Lagos, says the company is making health care accessible to all customers.
Malaria remains a dominant disease in sub-Saharan Africa. Though preventable, figures from the World Health Organization says Nigeria accounts for about 26% of global malaria cases, one of the highest in the world. It's a figure that reinforces the urgent need for affordable and accessible health care. And to change this narrative, LG Electronics partners with AXA Mansard Health to provide free malaria insurance for Nigerians, particularly to its LG customers, under its Life's Good Care campaign.
We thought a lot how to make benefit to our customers. So I launched this insurance system here. So anyone who buy LG products, there is a 3-layer, premium, middle, and low end. According to this category, we will supply some different benefit to all the customers.
We are very, very particular about saving lives. So, for us, it was a no-brainer partnering with LG, on this very laudable project.
The company says the initiative goes beyond technology to protection, as it's bringing in 3 tiers of malaria care plans.
There are different products and then different health plans. The health plans ranges from standard to classic and then premium. For your standard health plan, 2 family members enjoy free malaria insurance for 1 year. For the classic and premium, 6 family members will actually have access to this free malaria insurance. While for the premium, you have the hospital cash, whereby upon the 2nd day of the customer being admitted, he or she gets some form of financial recompense from AXA Mansard.
We actually have an AC called the LG Dual-Cool Mosquito Away AC. It has what we call the mosquito repellent feature through the ultrasonic wave. Now, there are 2 things that AC does. It repels and it knocks down. Take, for instance, you are in an enclosed space and the mosquito has nowhere of escape. It knocks it down, makes it weak and ineffective. Now, this AC has no harmful chemical substance. It's just purely ultrasonic wave.
With malaria still being a major public health threat, the LG and AXA Mansard partnership transforms corporate social responsibility into real-time healthcare for Nigerian families, making life's good more than just a slogan.
All right, thank you very much. The Minister of Livestock Development, Mr. Idi Mukhtar Meher, has stressed that livestock remains a major lifeline of any economy, driving food security, job creation, and rural development. He said the sector is central to Nigeria's economic growth and must be driven by scientific and technological innovations to boost productivity and sustainability. He stated this at the 2025 Animal Science Meeting and Industry Exposition organized by the Animal Science Association of Nigeria and the Nigerian Institute of Animal Science in Abuja. The minister charged stakeholders to focus on improving indigenous breeds and genetic resources. Our correspondent Benny Ark reports.
The 2025 Animal Science Meeting and Industry Exposition is gathering members of the Animal Science Association of Nigeria alongside the management of the Nigerian Institute of Animal Science. event drew stakeholders including the Minister of Livestock Development, President of the two bodies, former INEC Chairman, academics, and industry experts. Themed, Transforming Nigeria's Livestock Sector for Economic Growth and Global Competitiveness, the conference aims to promote innovation and maximize the country's comparative advantage in livestock production.
Today marks a new chapter, not only in the lives of our adoptees, but in the continued evolution of the livestock sector in Nigeria. It is a chapter defined by innovation, guided by regulation.
The keynote presentation focuses on the emerging opportunities and strategies for sectoral growth.
Our livestock is a potential. The numbers we have, they are enough to transform this nation into the engine room of Africa in terms of livestock.
In his address, the Minister of Livestock Development, Idi Mukhtar Meha, charged both bodies to drive research and technology-based solutions for sustainable livestock development.
We want to see the brilliant minds gathered in this room today to go back to the field and the laboratories based on performance selection, biological elimination, to come up with a Nigerian breed that can daily weight gain of 2 kilograms. The food formulators are here. Feed conversion ratio of international standard. To be bred at the age of 15 months. And to give us minimum 25 liters of milk a day.
The highlight of the event is the induction of 252 registered and 5 associate animal scientists, followed by the investiture of honorary fellows, including the Minister and former INEC Chairman, Professor Atahiru Jega. With strong calls for innovation and collaboration, the 2025 Animal Science meeting ended on a note of renewed commitment to transform Nigeria's livestock sector into a major driver of economic growth and global competitiveness. Benny Ark, Channels Television News.
Well, that's all from the nation's capital. Back to Anne in Lagos for the rest of the news.
Thank you very much, Harry. To company news now, MTN Foundation has awarded scholarship to 1,052 students with a disbursement of 300,000 naira to each of the students through its 2025 scholarship and induction program. The executive director of MTN Nigeria, Odunayo Soya, who was speaking at the 15th edition of the MTN Scholarship Ceremony in Victoria Island, Lagos, says the initiative reflects the foundation investment in academic excellence.
The yellow, colorful atmosphere says it all. It's the 2025 MTN Scholarship and Alumni Induction Program, an annual event conceived by MTN Foundation in 2010. The program supports students in public tertiary institutions with grants under the categories of MTN Scholarship for Blind Students, Science and Technology, and Best Top 10 Candidates in the Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination.
This scholarship initiative was built on the belief that every student has the capacity to soar. And since its inception, the MTN Scholarship Initiative has supported over 5,000 scholars and awarded nearly 15,000 scholarships. Each name on that list is a list of potential unlocked.
Beyond the financial support for over 1,052 scholars, the ceremony also marks the formal induction of over 300 graduating scholars into the MTN Scholarship Alumni Network.
Add value to be an agent of positive change.
Some of the best graduating students and new awardees tell their stories and express gratitude to the foundation.
MTN Foundation relieved us of a very huge financial burden throughout our years in school. I was awarded the MTN Science and Technology Scholarship, and I must say this is a very great privilege which I don't take for granted.
the 15th edition provides another beacon of hope for the students coming on board.
This program is about more than just financial aid. It has the power to change lives. Its beneficiaries have become innovators, researchers, professionals, and entrepreneurs who are actively shaping their communities.
It aligns with MTN Foundation's broader sustainability vision, particularly its youth development portfolio.
We recognize the need to support the development of talent in STEM specifically, which are critical areas to power Nigeria's industrialization. This initiative is also aligned, of course, to 3 of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, as well as MTN's ESG agenda.
From day one, we were clear that it was people over profits. It was purpose, before profits. And that is what has led MTN to be, the largest telecommunications company in Nigeria and in Africa, today.
MTN Nigeria Foundation says it has awarded over 14,700 scholarships to 5,349 scholars since inception. And this new set has to prove an unmatched academic excellence in the next 1 year to renew their scholarship and give back to society through knowledge transfer.
Welcome to Business News. And the Senate and House of Representatives have approved President Bola Tinubu's request to implement new external borrowing under the 2025 Appropriations Act. The approval allows the government to raise 1.84 trillion naira, about $1.2 billion at the official rate, to help finance the 9.27 trillion naira budget deficit. Lawmakers also authorized the refinancing of $1.12 billion Eurobonds due for maturity on November the 21st of this year. In addition, the National Assembly approved plans to issue a debut $500 million sovereign sukuk in the international capital market. Now, police have sealed off the corporate headquarters of Livestock Limited in Victoria Land, Lagos, after the company was placed under receivership by a consortium of lenders over a reported $1 billion debt. A federal high court sitting in Lagos had on October the 22nd this year issued an order of Mireva authorizing First Trustees and its subsidiary FBN Quest Merchant Bank to take over the company's assets. It's also of note that GHL is not relieved from its liabilities, including its indebtedness to the bank. The bank is entitled to take steps to enforce any security, receivables, or assets of GHL to recover total amounts owed to it. For the arbitration final word, $718 million claim against First Bank Nigeria has been dismissed, with the order to pay FBN arbitration costs of $112,100 and $111,250,000 naira within 30 days. The bank is entitled to take steps to enforce any security, receivables, or assets of GHL to recover total amounts owed to it. And with that, we head to the domestic equities market, which is profit-taking, still extending for the third day as investors continue to trade cautiously. In it, John McQuarrie has the details.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Stock Market Reports, where profit-taking continues at the NGX. At the close of trade today, 694 billion naira had been taken by investors, and we're now back to 97. We're 97.9 trillion. And also right here for the oil share, we've lost the 155,000 level. The oil share is in the red, 0.7%, mostly because of activities around Aradel. So last week, Aradel brought a lot of gains to investors in the market. I guess it's time to shed some of that off. So today, that stock lost 69 naira to close at 800 naira. There are also other contributors to the red color we have at the market. Banking, for instance, continues in the trend of profit-taking. GTCO and UBA, they were the most affected today. So banking counter is down 0.35%. Consumer goods, because of Dangote Sugar. Dangote Sugar also made some gains last week. So we see investors are taking some of those gains. It's down 0.24%. The biggest, however, is led by Aradel. So oil and gas is down 3.68%. I guess when you have more profit, you should expect
a lot of that profit to be taken at some point. So Aradel, Eternal Oil, and Japol Gold, they contributed to this 3.68% in the red. And once again, it's victory to the bear.
Thank you, Rini. That's a snapshot of closing numbers for other major global equities now. And that's business news. Is back to Anne for more on the news at 10. Thank you, Will. And now let's join Simon Pusey for more international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Jesus Christ! Much of Jamaica is without power or phone service after the country's strongest ever hurricane. Oh, God! Lord! The island saw floods, mudslides, roofs being ripped off buildings and palm trees tossed like toothpicks. After crossing Jamaica, Hurricane Melissa hit Cuba, bringing 115-mile-an-hour winds and heavy rains with warnings of life-threatening storm surges.
Jamaica, this is not the time to be brave. I've been saying for 1 week, don't bet against Melissa. It is a bet we can't win.
The bodies of at least 40 people have been laid out in a square of a poor neighborhood of the Brazilian city of Rio de Janeiro a day after a massive police raid. Police have confirmed that at least 64 people, among them 4 police officers, were killed in the raid on suspected members of the Red Command criminal gang, but that number could rise as more bodies are discovered. The raid was the deadliest in the city, where authorities have for decades tried to contain the gangs, which control many of its poor neighborhoods. The high number of casualties has been denounced by the United Nations Human Rights Office, which said it was horrified by the police operation. The Hamas-run health ministry in Gaza says at least 104 Palestinians have been killed in a wave of Israeli strikes on Tuesday night. The Israeli military said it struck dozens of terror targets and terrorists in response to violations by Hamas of the US-brokered ceasefire deal. Israel's defense minister accused Hamas of an attack in Gaza that killed an Israeli soldier and of breaching the terms on returning deceased hostages' bodies. Hamas said it had no connection to the attack and was committed to the deal. The US and South Korea have reached a broad trade deal, according to both countries. South Korea's presidential aide, Kim Yong-byon, said the two sides will reduce reciprocal tariffs from 25% to 15%, as was agreed earlier this year. South Korea will also invest $350 billion in the US, including $200 billion in cash investments and $150 billion in shipbuilding. Geert Wilders' anti-Islam Freedom Party is facing a tight race in the Dutch election, and even if he wins the vote, his hopes of forming a new government appear minimal. Wilders was the clear winner last time Dutch voters went to the polls in November 2023, but final opinion polls ahead of voting suggest a fall in his support. Unlike last time, Wilders' rivals are refusing to work with him after he brought down his own coalition government last June. Sudan's military government has ordered 2 senior officials at the UN's World Food Programme to leave the country amid widespread famine sparked by a grueling civil war that erupted in April 2023. The WFP said directors of its Sudan operation were declared persona non grata and told to go within 72 hours without explanation. The decision comes days after the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces captured the key city of El Fasher in Darfur from the military after an 18-month Romania's defense ministry has said the US intends to reduce some of its troops stationed on NATO's eastern flank. Between 900 and 1,000 American troops will remain in Romania, down from 1,700. The ministry said the decision was expected and that the resizing of US forces was a result of new priorities of the Trump presidential administration. And messages in a bottle written by 2 Australian soldiers in 1916 have been found more than a century later on the country's southwestern coast. The cheerful notes were penned just a few days into their voyage to join the battlefields of France during World War I. One of the soldiers told his mother that the food on board was very good and that they were as happy as Larry. Months later, he was killed in action at the age of 28. The other soldier, 37-year-old William Harley, survived the war and returned home. The letters have been passed on to their descendants, who have been stunned by the discovery.
It's very emotional, but we're also very excited that we found it, that a local family found it, because we've made it into something really special for the families.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel's studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. The date and fixture of the 2025-26 season of the Nigeria Women's Football League NWFL Premiership has been announced. The league will begin on November 26 and conclude on April 22nd, 2026, with champions Bayelsa Queens hosting Edo Queens in the opening game. The draw was held during the AGM of the NWFL in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, with 20 clubs battling for supremacy, while 6 teams will be relegated at the end of the season. But sports is back to you, Anne.
Thank you, Chris. And the main news again. President Tinubu has signed instruments granting pardon and sentence reductions to selected inmates exercising constitutional mercy after consultations and review. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Mwawadu. Good night.